The skies above Valaris 9 burned red with the fires of war. Smoke twisted in spirals as Kroth dropships cut across the horizon, their engines screaming like metal beasts in pain. Below them, the once proud mining world was a battlefield of chaos and death. The surface of the planet was torn apart. Craters pitted with scorched metal and shattered stone, and every remaining structure groaned under the weight of bombardment. The Azalan Coalition, defenders of the planet, were falling back from one ruined city to the next, their forces battered and exhausted. Commander Thralvan stood atop the command tower of the Capitol Dome. The massive glass and steel structure, built to withstand Valaris 9's harsh storms, now quivered with each distant explosion. His sharp blue eyes scanned the battlefield, taking in the destruction. And yet they found nothing that offered hope. "We are losing ground faster than we can hold," he muttered to himself, the words bitter in his mouth. His voice, though quiet, carried the weight of despair, echoing through the empty corridors behind him. The Coalition soldiers were tired. Many had not eaten properly for days, and morale was crumbling. The Kroth advanced like a tide of iron and fire, relentless and merciless. From the observation deck below, Lieutenant Serkel approached, his face pale under the harsh red glow of the war-torn sky. "Commander, our forward lines have been overrun. The Kroth are heading straight for the Central Command. If we do not act now, the city will fall within hours." Thralvan turned to him, the tension in his posture betraying the weight of command. "We have no reinforcements coming," he said. "Our allies have abandoned this planet. Valaris 9 is alone." Serkel swallowed, gripping his helmet tightly. There is one signal, sir. A transmission from outside. It claims human reinforcements." Thralvan's jaw tightened. Humans. He had heard the stories. Across the galaxy, humans were known as wild, unpredictable, and terrifyingly effective soldiers. No one had ever defeated a human force once it entered a battle. But those were just stories, rumors. He had never seen them with his own eyes, and at a moment like this, he had no reason to expect them. "Humans?" he said, disbelief sharp in his voice. "Do you think they will come?" Serkel hesitated. "The transmission says 24 minutes. That is the estimated time of arrival." Thralvan shook his head. 24 minutes is a lifetime, when our lines are collapsing. The Kroth forces had already broken through the outer defenses of the Capitol Dome. Their towering war machines, covered in spiked armor and glowing with energy cores, moved in perfect, horrifying synchronization. Entire platoons of Azalan soldiers were being crushed under the overwhelming firepower. Even the automated turrets, designed to halt massed attacks, had been disabled or destroyed. From the distance, the terrible sound of Kroth war horns echoed. It was a deep, resonant bellow that shook the ground and chilled the hearts of the Coalition soldiers. Each note carried a cruel promise: victory or death. Thralvan clenched his fists. He had trained for countless scenarios, but this, the annihilation of his people, the fall of Valaris 9, was a situation even the most prepared minds could not handle. He walked down from the observation deck, moving past soldiers preparing for a last stand, their faces a mix of fear and resignation. He stopped in the center of the command room, looking over the holographic displays of the battlefield. Tiny red and orange dots marked the Kroth forces, advancing steadily, swallowing the blue dots of the Coalition soldiers. He sent one last message to any remaining allies in the system. "Valaris 9 is lost. We cannot hold the line. Evacuate if possible." The response was silence. The Kroth had Valaris 9's fate sealed, or so it seemed. Then, the transmission arrived. Short, clear. "Coalition distress received. Reinforcements inbound. ETA. 24 minutes. Thralvan blinked, staring at the signal. 24 minutes. Could it be true? Could humans really come? He had heard tales from other worlds. Stories of human soldiers charging into impossible battles, of planets saved by their ruthless strategies, of entire armies broken by sheer audacity. But this was Valaris 9. This was a doomed world, and yet, maybe, just maybe, there was a chance. The hours passed slowly. The Croth advanced steadily, tearing through coalition lines. Soldiers fell under blaster fire and energy swords, screaming as the war machines crushed everything in their path. Civilians ran through the streets, clutching children and whatever possessions they could salvage. The sky darkened with smoke, punctuated by the fiery trails of falling dropships. Inside the command room, Thralvin watched the battle unfold. He could hear the distant shouts of soldiers, the explosions echoing across the city. Every instinct screamed at him that it was too late. The Croth were everywhere. Their precision was terrifying, their cruelty unmatched. The coalition could not survive this. And yet, something changed. Something in the sky. It started as a small glimmer, distant lights streaking across the red horizon. The soldiers at the command center paused, staring upward. Then the lights grew brighter, moving faster, closer. The sound of engines, unlike any Croth machine, tore through the air, a high-pitched roar that was almost musical in its intensity. Thralvin's heart skipped a beat. He had never seen anything like it. "Serkel," he whispered, voice tight. "Do you see that?" Serkel nodded, eyes wide. "Yes, Commander. They are human dropships." The first human dropship descended like a meteor, engines screaming as it cut through the atmosphere. It hit the battlefield with impossible speed, landing amid Croth war machines and infantry. Soldiers poured out, clad in armor that gleamed in the fires of battle, weapons in hand. They did not hesitate. They did not retreat. They did not falter. The humans charged. They moved with terrifying precision. They struck at commanders, communication nodes, and artillery with ruthless efficiency. The Croth tried to respond, but they were unprepared for the ferocity of these newcomers. Blaster fire cut through the air, grenades exploded with perfect timing, and soldiers fell under the relentless assault. Thralvin watched in awe. He had never seen a species fight like this. The humans were not just soldiers, they were a storm, a force of nature. They pushed forward instead of defending. They attacked the enemy at its weakest points, tearing the Croth apart from within. One human soldier, taller than most Azalin, wielded a massive energy cannon. He moved through the battlefield, firing with devastating accuracy, obliterating entire Croth squads. Another human leapt over a ruined wall, landing in the midst of enemy infantry, his twin blades flashing in the firelight as he cut down attackers with a speed no Azalin could match. Thralvin felt something he had not felt in days' hope. A glimmer of it, small but fierce, flickered in his chest. Perhaps the stories were true. Perhaps humanity was indeed the unstoppable force the galaxy feared. The Croth, for the first time in this battle, began to hesitate. Their formations wavered. Their commanders barked orders that went unheeded. Confusion spread among their ranks. The humans were not just fighting, they were changing the tide. From the command tower, Thralvin observed the humans coordinate effortlessly. There was no hesitation, no doubt, no fear. Every movement was calculated, every attack precise. They were ruthless, yes, but they were not reckless. They understood the battlefield in a way the Croth could not. And then, the unthinkable happened. The Croth war horn sounded a desperate, ear-splitting bellow meant to terrify any remaining resistance. Soldiers on both sides froze, expecting the worst. But the humans did not flinch. They charged straight into the sound, straight into the massed enemy, as if daring the Croth to stop them. For the first time, Thralvin saw the impossible. The Croth were falling back, slowly, then faster. Panic spread across their ranks. Their perfectly orchestrated assault was unraveling. Thralvin turned to Serkel, voice trembling with disbelief. "Is it possible?" Serkel shook his head. I don't know, Commander. But the humans, they might just be able to save us." The first wave of human soldiers reached the front lines. They were everywhere at once, appearing in impossible places, striking at impossible times. Blaster fire and explosions filled the air. And through it all, the humans moved with a terrifying rhythm, unstoppable and unyielding. And in that moment, Thralvin realized something he had never believed before. Victory might not be impossible after all. But he also knew one thing with absolute certainty. The battle had only just begun. The humans had entered the fight, and everything was about to change. The sky above Valaris 9 was now streaked with smoke, fire, and human-engineered destruction. The arrival of the human soldiers had shifted the battle. But the war was far from over. Kroth war machines were still towering across the shattered landscape, their armor scorched but unbroken. The Dominion had never faced an opponent like this, and their confusion was spreading among their ranks. Yet, the humans were relentless. Captain Mara Kestrel of Unit Greyfall, the lead human squad, moved through the battlefield with an almost supernatural grace. Her armor, reinforced with kinetic shielding, glinted under the red light of the burning cities. In her hands, a plasma rifle hummed with energy, every shot precise and devastating. Around her, her squad of 6 elite soldiers moved like a single organism. The first target was the Kroth artillery line, which had been bombarding the coalition from a safe distance. The humans approached silently, hugging the craters and debris for cover. When they reached striking distance, Mara raised her hand, and the squad unleashed a synchronized assault. Plasma blasts tore through the Kroth cannons, melting turrets in seconds. Explosions rippled across the field, scattering enemy soldiers in every direction. The Azalin soldiers, who had been hiding behind crumbling walls and barricades, watched in awe. They had never seen combat like this. Humans did not wait for orders. They did not hesitate. They simply acted, and the results were undeniable. Slowly, courage returned to the coalition troops. They began to move forward, following the humans' lead. Yet the Kroth were not defeated yet. Their commander, a towering brute named Vorak the Red, roared orders across the battlefield. "Kill them all! Do not let the humans interfere." His voice was like thunder, shaking the ground beneath Valaris 9. Kroth soldiers charged, and the clash of firepower returned with renewed fury. Mara observed the approaching enemy carefully. Her mind worked quickly, calculating every risk, every angle. Then she made a decision. "Flank the left," she ordered, her voice calm and steady. "Greyfall unit, split. Use the rubble for cover. Take the commanders out first. Split." True. Renbrings. Trasdam. The squad moved, disappearing behind broken buildings and trenches. In minutes, they had reached the Kroth leadership line. Mara could see the commanders coordinating the attacks, their movements giving the soldiers purpose and direction. If the humans could remove them, the entire force would collapse. With a nod, Mara activated her thruster pack, launching herself over a wall and landing behind the Kroth commanders. Plasma bolts erupted from her rifle, taking out one commander instantly. Another fell under the precise slash of her energy blade. The remaining Kroth hesitated, unable to believe what was happening. The impact was immediate. Without leadership, the Kroth soldiers began to panic. Orders were shouted, but no one listened. Humans and coalition soldiers pressed forward, exploiting every weakness. Mara's squad was a whirlwind of motion, striking, retreating, and striking again. The battlefield shifted in their favor, inch by inch, as human efficiency collided with Kroth chaos. Meanwhile, Thralvin watched from the command tower, unable to tear his eyes away. They are Unstoppable, he muttered. It is like they are everywhere at once. Sirkel nodded beside him, his face pale with relief. It is more than that, sir. They are ruthless and smart, terrifyingly smart. But the humans' assault was not without danger. Kroth war machines, sensing the shift in momentum, turned their weapons toward the advancing humans. One massive walker raised its energy cannon, preparing to obliterate an entire squad. Mara reacted instantly, diving to the side as the blast tore the ground where she had stood seconds before. "Keep moving," she shouted, rolling behind a ruined vehicle. "Do not stop until they fall." Her squad responded instantly, advancing under the cover of smoke and rubble. They fired, dodged, and struck again, each movement designed to maximize damage while minimizing risk. The Kroth soldiers tried to regroup, but the humans were always one step ahead. The Azalan soldiers joined the charge, inspired by the humans' fearlessness. They followed behind the elite squad, picking off Kroth stragglers and capturing supply depots. The combination of human ruthlessness and Azalan persistence began to turn the tide. But the most dangerous threat was still out there. The Kroth flagship, hovering above the planet, preparing to fire a planetary destruction cannon. Its energy core glowed ominously, ready to unleash annihilation. Mara knew they could not allow that to happen. "We have to stop that ship," she said to her squad. "All of you, listen. We are going in. There is no retreat." The squad nodded. There was no fear, only determination. They moved toward the extraction point, where a captured coalition drop platform awaited. Using the thruster packs, they launched into the air, flying across the battlefield like meteors. Below them, Kroth soldiers fired wildly, but the humans' speed and precision made them almost untouchable. Thralvin could hardly comprehend what he was seeing. The humans were not just fighting, they were changing the rules of war. They ignored what others feared, attacked what others avoided, and achieved what others deemed impossible. Every move they made struck terror into the Kroth, who had never encountered such relentless aggression. One of Mara's squad, a young human named Jace Hunter, used a grappling tether to swing onto a Kroth walker's back. In seconds, he planted explosive charges and leapt away just as the machine exploded in a shower of fire and metal. Other squad members struck at command posts, taking out communication relays and disrupting enemy coordination. The battlefield became chaotic for the Kroth. Soldiers fired blindly, war machines collided, and the carefully planned assault began to crumble. Panic spread like wildfire. Meanwhile, Mara's focus was on the flagship. She knew the cannon could obliterate Velaris 9 inches seconds if allowed to fire. "Jace, take the right flank. Greyfall, cover me. We move to the ship now." The squad surged forward, using every piece of debris for cover. They moved faster than anyone thought possible, reaching the launch pad, where the human thrusters could carry them straight to the sky. With a coordinated push, they launched themselves upward, dodging anti-air fire and Kroth interceptors. From the command tower, Thralvin could see their ascent. His heart pounded in his chest. "They are going for the flagship," he said. "If they fail, we are finished." But he also knew something else. Humans did not fail. They adapted. They improvised. They conquered. And somehow, he trusted them. High above the planet, the humans approached the Kroth flagship. Its surface was armored, pulsating with deadly energy. Mara scanned the defenses quickly. "We go through the docking bay," she ordered. "Quick in, quick out. Disable the cannon before it fires." The squad descended, thrusters blazing, landing on the outer hull. Kroth soldiers opened fire, but the humans' armor and agility allowed them to dodge and counterattack with deadly precision. Mara moved like a shadow, her rifle firing, her blade slashing, every action calculated and merciless. Inside the ship, the humans fought their way to the control room. Kroth officers tried to resist, but their efforts were useless against the coordinated assault. Mara planted charges to disable the energy core temporarily, buying them precious minutes. The cannon was nearly operational, but the humans moved faster. Almost there, Mara muttered, sprinting toward the control panel. Jace and the others provided covering fire, cutting down every Kroth soldier who dared approach. Suddenly, the cannon began to charge. Energy surged, glowing brighter than the sun. Mara's heart raced. One wrong move, 1 second too late, and Valaris 9 would be obliterated. She reached the panel and began the override sequence. Sparks flew as the system resisted, but she pressed on, ignoring pain, exhaustion, and fear. Finally, with a loud hiss, the cannon powered down. The threat was neutralized for now. On the battlefield below, the Azalin soldiers cheered as Kroth forces began to retreat. The human squad had done what no one else could. They had taken the fight directly to the enemy and struck at its heart. Thralvin breathed a sigh of relief. "It is incredible," he said softly. "They are unstoppable." Serkel nodded. "The humans, they are not just soldiers. They are legends." But Mara knew the battle was not yet over. More Kroth forces were coming. The flagship might be disabled, but the war would continue. Still, for the first time in days, she felt something rare: hope. Humans had entered the battle, and the impossible had begun to happen. Valaris 9 might survive after all. The sun was beginning to rise over Valaris 9, though the light was harsh and tinged with smoke and fire. The battlefield below looked like a nightmare, frozen in time, ruined buildings, cratered ground, and the remnants of countless war machines strewn across the landscape. But the once unstoppable Kroth forces were no longer in control. Their ranks were fractured, their commanders eliminated, and their confidence shattered. The humans, relentless and ruthless, had changed the entire course of the war. Captain Mara Kestrel of Unit Greyfall surveyed the battlefield from a cliff above the central city. Her armor was scorched in places, scratches marking where energy blasts had struck. But she stood tall, unyielding. Her squad was battered, but alive. Each member carried the weight of the fight, yet their determination was stronger than ever. "The Kroth are retreating," Mara said, voice calm but commanding. "But the flagship is still up there. If it fires again, we lose everything. We finish this now." Jace Hunter, crouched beside her, nodded. "We take the fight to them. End of story." His grin, wide and fearless, showed why humans inspired fear and admiration across the galaxy. Below them, the Coalition soldiers, inspired by the humans' audacity, pushed forward against the remaining Kroth ground forces. Slowly, the balance of power shifted. The Dominion's war machines toppled under coordinated attacks, while human squads picked off enemy officers with surgical precision. Each victory emboldened the Azalin soldiers, who now moved with confidence instead of fear. Mara turned to her squad. "Thrusters ready. We're going for the flagship. This ends today." The squad moved swiftly, climbing into their thruster packs and launching themselves into the sky. The city below fell away as they ascended toward the massive Kroth vessel, hovering above the planet. It loomed like a dark fortress, its energy core pulsing ominously. Inside the flagship, Kroth officers scrambled. The human presence had thrown them into chaos. Orders were shouted, but no one could coordinate under the relentless assault. Mara's mind raced as she scanned the vessel for the most direct path to the cannon controls. Every second counted. The humans landed on the flagship's hull, thrusters hissing, and immediately came under fire. Kroth gunners fired energy bolts, but the humans' speed, coordination, and armor made them almost untouchable. They moved like shadows, striking and retreating with perfect timing. Mara led her squad through the ship's corridors, clearing every obstacle in their path. Jace and another soldier, Rena, disabled defensive turrets while Mara cut down any Kroth officer who dared oppose them. The team moved with ruthless efficiency, leaving nothing alive in their wake. Finally, they reached the cannon chamber. The massive weapon pulsed with energy, ready to unleash total destruction. Mara's squad spread out, securing the area while she approached the control panel. Sparks flew from damaged circuits, warning alarms blared, and the energy core hummed dangerously. "Start the override," Mara commanded. Her hands moved across the panel, entering commands with speed and precision. Jason Rena provided covering fire, cutting down Kroth soldiers attempting to stop them. The cannons surged, threatening to fire. A warning siren echoed throughout the chamber. Mara's heart pounded, but she did not hesitate. Her focus was absolute. She pressed the final sequence, overriding the energy core. The hum of the cannon slowed, then stopped entirely. The immediate threat was neutralized. Below, Thralvin watched from the command tower as the flagship went dark. Coalition soldiers cheered, firing their weapons into the retreating Kroth. The humans had struck at the heart of the enemy, and the result was undeniable. But Mara knew the battle was not yet over. The Kroth were still alive, still dangerous. She turned to her squad. "Prepare for extraction," she ordered. "We fight our way back down." The squad moved with deadly precision, retracing their path through the corridors. Kroth soldiers, though terrified, attempted to mount a counterattack. But the humans were too fast, too clever, and too relentless. Every attack they made was calculated to maximize impact and minimize risk. Outside, the battlefield was chaos. The remaining Kroth forces were retreating but in disarray. Coalition soldiers, inspired by the humans, pressed forward, striking down the enemy wherever they could. Mara's squad provided cover from above, using their thrusters to descend onto strategic points, cutting off Kroth escape routes and destroying war machines before they could escape. As the humans moved, Mara noticed the Kroth flagship beginning to rise higher, perhaps in a last attempt to fire another devastating blast at the planet. "We can't let them get away," she said. "Thrusters. Full power. We intercept." The squad shot upward, catching the flagship before it could reach orbit. Mara fired her rifle at the engines, setting off a chain reaction that tore through the hull. Explosions rocked the vessel, and it began to fall toward the planet in a controlled descent, crashing into a distant crater. The blast shook the ground and sent debris flying, but it was far enough to spare the central city. Thralvin exhaled slowly, relief washing over him. The flagship was gone. The threat was finally eliminated. The Kroth forces remaining on the planet were leaderless and disorganized. Victory, once impossible, was now within reach. On the battlefield, humans and coalition soldiers moved in perfect coordination, cleaning up remaining Kroth resistance. Mara's squad fought tirelessly, their ruthlessness and skill ensuring that no enemy remained to regroup. Every Kroth machine destroyed, every officer eliminated, every soldier captured or driven away reinforced the message. Humans do not accept defeat. Hours later, as the sun rose fully over Valaris 9, the battlefield was quiet. Smoke rose in columns from burning wrecks. But the immediate danger was gone. Mara's squad landed back in the central city, greeted by cheering coalition soldiers. Thralvin approached them, awe evident in his posture. You saved us," he said, voice heavy with gratitude. "We were certain of defeat. And yet, here you are." Mara shook her head, her expression calm but stern. "We didn't just save you. We finished what needed to be done. The Kroth would have destroyed this planet if we hadn't acted." Thralvin nodded slowly, understanding the truth in her words. Humans were not just soldiers. They were unstoppable, calculating, and fearless. They had changed the course of the battle and perhaps the course of history. Around them, coalition soldiers tended to the wounded, repaired damaged equipment, and began to reclaim their city. The humans did not pause for praise or rest. They moved quickly, ensuring that no threat remained. Mara knew that the Kroth could return, and humanity would not allow them to have another chance. Later, as the humans prepared to leave Valaris 9, Thralvin approached Mara once more. Your species is unlike anything we have ever known. We owe you our lives, our planet. How can we ever repay you? Mara smiled faintly, exhaustion clear in her eyes. You don't repay humans. You remember what we did. You learn. And you survive. That is enough. With that, the human squad boarded their dropships, engines roaring to life. They took one last look at the planet they had saved, knowing that they would leave behind a legacy that would be remembered forever. Thralvin watched as the dropships disappeared into the sky, and he turned to his soldiers. Remember this day, he said, voice echoing across the city. We were saved by humans, and we will never forget it. For the first time in weeks, hope returned to Valaris 9. The battle was won. The Kroth forces had been broken, their flagship destroyed, and their soldiers scattered. Humanity had intervened at the critical moment, demonstrating why they were feared and revered throughout the galaxy. And as the sun set, painting the skies of Valaris 9 with shades of red and gold, one truth became clear to everyone who had survived the day. Defeat had seemed certain until the ruthless human soldiers entered the battle. The galaxy would remember this day, and all who witnessed it would tell stories of human courage, strategy, and unrelenting determination. Humans were not just another species. They were a force beyond reckoning, a storm that no enemy could survive, and heroes who never allowed failure. Valaris 9 had survived. The Coalition had survived. And humanity had proven, once again, why no one could ever count them out.